let's start it. Chapter 1. Okay. Part 1. In the corner of a first class smoking carriage, Mr. Justice Walgrave, lately retired from the bench, puffed at a cigar and ran an interested eye through the political news in the Times. He let the paper down and glanced out of the window. Did you mean glanced? Glanced out to look quickly at somebody or something? It's called glanced out. B pronunciate it glanced. Glanced. Okay. Then they were running now through some rest. He glanced at his watch. Another 2 hours to go. He went over in his mind all that had appeared in the papers about Soldier Island. They had been its original purchase by an American millionaire who was crazy about yachting, and an account of the luxurious modern house he had built on his little island off the Devon coast. The unfortunate fact that the new third wife of the American millionaire was Pat Seller had led to the subsequent putting up of the house and island for sale. Various glowing advertisements of it had appeared in the paper. Then came the first fault. Next page. A statement that it had been bought by a Mr. Owen. After that, the rumors of the gossip writer had started. Soldier Island had really been bought by Miss Gabrielle Turl, the Hollywood film star. She wanted to spend some months there free from all publicity. Busy Bee had hinted delicately that it was to be an abode for royalty. Mr. Merriweather had had it whispered to him that it had been bought for honeymoon. Young Lord L had surrendered to Cupid at last. Faunus knew for a fact that it had been purchased by the Admiralty with view to carry out some very hush experiment. Definitely, Soldier Island was news. From his pocket, Mr. Justice Wargrave drew out a letter. The handwriting was practically illegible, but words here and there stood out with unexpected clarity. Dearest Lawrence, such year since I heard anything. Dearest Lawrence, such years since I heard anything of you must come to Soldier Island, the most enchanting place, so much to talk over. Old days, communication with nature, barks in sunshine. 1240 from Paddington. Meet you at Oakbridge, and his correspondent signed herself with a flourish, his ever constant calming tone. Mr. Justice Wargrave cast back in his mind to remember when exactly he had last seen Lady Constance Carmington. It must be 7, no, 8 years ago. She had then been going to Italy to bask in the sun and be at one with nature and the contadini. Later, later he had heard she had proceeded to Syria, where she proposed to bask in yet stronger sun and live at one with nature and the Udemy. Constance Calmington, he reflected to himself, was exactly the sort of woman who would buy an island and surrounded herself with mystery. Nodding his hand in gentle approval of his logic, Mr. Justice Wargrave allowed his head to nod. He slept. Second part. Vera, Kelly thrown in a third-class carriage with 5 other travelers in it, leaned her head back and shut her eyes. How hot it was, traveling by train today. It would be nice to get to the sea. Really a great piece of luck getting this job. When you wanted to holiday post, it nearly always meant looking after some of children. Secretarial holiday posts were much more difficult to get. Even the agency hadn't held out much hope. And then the letter had come. I have received your name from the Skilled Women's Agency. Together with their recommendation, I understand they know you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the. And the next page, salary you ask and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train is at 12:40 from Paddington and you will be met Oakbridge Station. I enclose 5 pounds, 1 notes for expenses. You are truly Una Nancy own. And at the top was stamped at a Soldier Island, stick Devon. Soldier Island. Why there had been nothing else in the papers lately? All sorts of hints and interesting rumors. True, probably they were mostly untrue, but the house had certainly been built by a millionaire and was said to be absolutely the last word in luxury. Vera Calithorne, tired by recent strenuous term at school, thought to herself, being a game mistress in a third class school isn't much of a catch. If only I could get a job at some decent school. And then, with cold feeling down her heart, she thought, but I'm lucky to have even this. After all, people don't like a coroner's inquest, even if the coroner did acquit me of all blame. He had even complimented her on her presence of mind and courage. She remembered, for an inquest it couldn't have gone better, and Mrs. Hamilton had been kindness itself to her. Only Hugo, but she wouldn't think of Hugo. Suddenly, in spite of the heat in the carriage, she shivered and wished she wasn't going to the sea, and a picture rose clearly before her mind. Cyril's head bobbing up and down, swimming to the rock. Up and down, and herself swimming in easy practice stroke after him, cleaving her way through the water, but knowing only too surely that she wouldn't swim in time. The sea its sea warm blue, morning spent lying out on the sands. Hugo who had said he loved her. She must not think of Hugo. She opened her eyes and frowned across at the man opposite her. A tall man with a brown face, light eyes set rather close together, and arrogant, almost cruel mouth. She thought to herself, I bet he has been to some interesting part of the world and seen some interesting things.